2 suitcases, life in the backpack, new destination, full tank and a roadmap. My DJ, my best friend by my side, windows roll down as I put the car in drive.
I don't know where we'll go, just know that we've got miles. We've got miles and miles to go.
Hello and welcome to CIFF Speaks, the official podcast of the Cleveland International Film Festival. I'm Dee Perry, and I'm joined by my co-host, Aaron Spears.
Hello, Dee.
Hey, Aaron. Now, we are usually sitting in the same room, or at least the same building as we record these podcasts, but it's not business as usual these days. So in just a few minutes, we'll talk about the whys, what nows, and what's next with our guests. But first, Aaron, I want to have you describe just a little bit how we're going to have the conversation.
Well, we are practicing quite a bit of social distancing amongst us four today, since we're all in different towns, different areas all around Cleveland. And like most people are doing these days, we are moving into the digital space to be able to record this. So we don't get to actually see each other face to face, but we still get to hear each other and interact a little bit. This is, I guess, the new normal for now. Luckily, we are in the, kind of modern digital age, so it's not too terribly difficult to set up, kind of a virtual recording space and still be able to communicate and connect with each other and pass the word on about what CIFF44 is going to look like this year.
Mm-hmm. And to help us do that, I want to welcome now the Cleveland International Film Festival's Marketing and Media Director, Debby Samples, and the festival's Artistic Director, Bill Guentzler. Debbie, the place I want to start is with the fact that COVID-19 had already been making news for several weeks before Governor Mike DeWine released his March 10th recommendation to limit large indoor gatherings. Then on March 11th, CIFF announced that the film festival for this year at Tower City Cinemas would be canceled. So I want to have you walk us through the build-up to that decision.
Yeah, sure. On our side, up until the week of March 6th, we were really carrying on with business as usual. We were most definitely tracking the progress of COVID-19, but we also wanted to keep moving forward with our festival planning since we were unsure of how it would all play out. So the week of March 6th was when we realized things were bound to take an unprecedented turn for us. More cases were being reported, and we knew that now that testing was getting into place, those numbers would naturally continue to grow. So we found ourselves as a full-time staff wondering how to move forward and what was best to do ethically and for the sake of our community. We knew what the answer was, but as a nonprofit, we also knew it would bring on an enormous financial crisis, which it did and has. That being said, we knew what we would ultimately do. So we decided to wait for about 24 hours at that point, just to see how things would shake out. And then on March 11th, that decision was actually made for us, and we were asked to shut down, which we, of course, complied with.
So, Bill, I wanted to, first of all, on behalf of the Cleveland film-going community, our reaction was no, resoundingly. But what were you feeling when you heard the decision to cancel this year's festival? Like, what were the frantic, I'm assuming, conversations, observations you were having? This is not just affecting Cleveland and our film festival now. It's kind of affecting film festivals worldwide. So how did you go about processing the news for this year?
Yeah, I mean, it was staged essentially. I think that, anybody that had traveled anywhere, since the beginning of January, probably when they heard about this new virus and, this disease, and when they closed the border or the flights from China, it was kind of like, oh, I flew, it was in the back of your mind. And so I came back from Sundance. And that was in the back of my mind since then. We moved forward, we put together the program guide, and then we were ready. Tickets were ready to go on sale to members. And then that's when the governor made the changes with the Arnold in Columbus, where he was still allowing it to go on, but not with spectators. And so we really started talking about it as a staff, a full-time staff. Obviously, our guest relations department was concerned because they were starting to get questions from especially the few international guests that we were bringing in. And so we talked about it as a staff, and we just weren't sure what to do. And so we did, like Debbie said, proceeded as if, we were going to put on the festival, but be really cautious and follow guidelines and directions. And then before the governor announced, the regulations about large crowds, that's when South by Southwest canceled. And I think that was the shock to the system, or at least the film festival and the film industry system, that this was going to change a lot. That when South by Southwest canceled, we knew that it was only a matter of time before everything else in March and April was either questioning, postponing, or canceling. So we all felt it. I kind of at that point just kind of knew that we were going to be canceled. We still proceeded. Tickets went on sale to members. And then over the weekend, I got a call from my friend that worked at CineQuest, and he said that the city shut them down. And then it was more and more and more. And then, then you go to the 11th when Marcy, Patrick, and Chris Blake, our board president, were asked to go to the news conference when they canceled us.
Mm. And you mentioned the phrase, Bill, shock to the system. I got to say that even though I knew it was serious, a serious health crisis, I still was shocked when I heard that CIFF was being canceled. People had brought it up in the days before, and I said, oh, that's not going to happen. Every message I'm getting seems like it's full speed ahead. And so I wondered, Debbie, what was going on? I mean, you were in public and in the office going ahead with what needed to be done, but what were you thinking and feeling?
Yeah, I think as a full-time staff, we were just beyond heartbroken for so many reasons, and for a lot of people, mainly our audience, obviously. We're lucky, we say this all the time, we're a broken record, but we're lucky to live in a community that lives and breathes independent film. And just the idea of our film festival family not being able to see these films that our incredibly talented guest filmmakers were bringing to Cleveland was just a bit devastating, honestly. And for the filmmakers themselves, I mean, I know every festival thinks they have the best audience, but we know we do. Our audience treats our filmmakers like the rock stars they are, and we know it's such a unique and special thing we have here in Cleveland. And we were also sad that we didn't have that final year at Tower City to celebrate all we accomplished under that roof. We've grown leaps and bounds because we were able to be there all in one place. And we just wanted that moment in time to thank the space and the people who made it all happen for us these past, what would have been 30 years. And, as for the reaction from our film festival family, I'm going to get emotional here. They were just amazing. We received so many words of support, both digitally and even handwritten notes in the mail, that it really, and Bill, you can speak towards this too, from my part, it really carried the full-time staff through those first couple of days that seemed so dark for us after we were shut down. We didn't think that CIFF44 was going to happen, and having that festival family around us to mourn the festival with us, but also standing by to help and ready to help however they could, gave us so much drive as a full-time staff to get back on our feet and just make something happen for our audience and for our filmmakers.
And yeah, just following that up, where, and not only, did we have an outpouring of love, online, and, like Debbie said, we got handwritten notes. I mean, several of our board members came in with a lot of alcohol. And it really did feel like, they were condolences. It really did feel like that people understood that this was like a death to us.
And something that happened in the audience very organically is, we all have our own offices and space in the office, but we all sort of found ourselves in the back in the conference room. So we set up this room with all of us in one space. It was just so important for us to be physically close to each other. So we literally left our own individual spaces, went back to the conference room and set up shop back there. And like Bill said, our board members, we have the best board. They would show up and they'd say, we came with our checkbook in hand. And it was exactly what the full-time staff needed to feel that we weren't alone in this, and that not only our board was around us, but our audience was around us. It truly gave us the drive we needed to get back on our feet.
And Debbie, the funny thing about we did all go in the back, but we were equally spaced back then, even before we got the guidelines.
You're right. You're right.
It was almost like we were ahead of the game, where it was just like, okay, we all want to be together, but we still have to be somewhat apart. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, while you were in that back room, what were you doing? What were the first things that had to happen once the decision was announced to cancel the festival?
Yeah, I mean, I'll jump in real quickly. It was just communication, communication, communication. I'll let Bill speak towards the filmmaker side of this, but we were communicating with not only our audience, which is first and foremost, but with our partners, with our sponsors, with our various teams we have. And something we knew, but we relearned is undoing something, even something the size of the festival, takes a lot less time than building it up. That's for sure. And then I think we just went into crisis management. A lot of people forget that we are a nonprofit, and with a film festival, you really do spend all that money that you built a year creating prior to the event, and then you recoup those costs through the event. And so it was just sort of a very scary, and still remains a very scary situation to be in when you're a nonprofit. But that's just when our communication really elevated for us.
Yeah, and I one thing that we purposefully did is that we knew that we were going to have to split up, but we still had to do it together. So we spent a lot of time on coming up with like a core message of where we were at certain points, because we knew that, everything in the world was changing daily. And so it wasn't only just with the festival and us personally, that we knew that we had to kind of somehow keep some kind of constant contact going. And so, we came up with a core, and then everybody kind of split up between who they were dealing with and who they needed to contact and talk to, and added things because there was a different emotional connection, to the filmmakers that had the films in the festival, depending on if it was a premiere or not, and then, how we dealt with our members and our pass holders, and how we dealt with our sponsors and media partners. It was just like, they were all different, but at the same time, they were all the same, as far as, we're heartbroken. But we want to do something. And so please, this is where we're at. Let us know where you're at. And then, from that, we got a lot of ideas and requests and comments about what we could do and move forward.
So then even as we're all, reeling from the news here, it's, as you were just describing that, Bill, I had that image in my head of just like the giant, tanker ship or something, like trying to steer this giant festival that was about to kick off and get going. How do you kind of course correct then, given the new, like you said, changing daily situation? What was some of the plans, and how did the CIFF staff kind of start looking towards alternative solutions for the festival this year?
One of the things that, people request is if we can postpone. And because there were a lot of festivals that were announcing that they're just going to postpone their dates and move to fall. And we were too close to the festival. We had already spent all the money to put on the festival. So there's no way that we could have postponed. And even if we weren't as close, we were already focusing on our move to Playhouse Square. So that, that would be putting on 3 film festivals in 1 year.
Yeah.
So that's just impossible. And it would, and for all the festivals, I that did postpone, I give them a lot of credit, and I hope that they can pull it off. But at least in my mind, you can't postpone a festival. You wouldn't have the same films. You wouldn't have the same filmmakers. Where would you put yourself in the film festival schedule? Like, the year-round schedule of film festivals. So in my mind, it was just, that's completely impossible. And then there's just so many other reasons.
Well, also given the changing, like you said, day to day, like new revelations that are coming out, you might pick some date, put all the planning into like that fall date, and then that still might not happen.
Correct.
Exactly.
Yeah, correct. And then, luckily, Mallory Martin, who is our director of program and projection, she and Bill immediately came up with a digital solution. But again, I think if you're not aware of all that goes into it, and Bill, you can definitely speak more towards this than most, but it's not just a matter of taking those films and putting them online, but that we knew that's what we needed to do. That was the only way CIFF44 was going to happen. So Mallory did a lot of pre-work on this, and Bill picked it up and ran with it. And, they've been through a lot trying to work through, there's a lot of legal stuff on this, because a lot of these films do have, is it VOD contracts, I guess, that get a little tricky when you're trying to put these films online. There's also a cost there because we don't have a digital platform to do that. So it's not just getting the legality in order with each film. It's also getting the finances when you're in financial crisis.
And yeah, and I think one of the bigger things about that too is like, Mallory, really kind of led the charge in like trying to figure out like if we could potentially put, films online, on any kind of platform. And I was pretty against it. Like, I just knew that how much work it was going to be to essentially renegotiate deals, talk to everybody, and and then really figure out all the specifics and details. Like, I personally didn't have the energy, and I knew that a lot of the staff, I mean, we were dealing with like grief, and just like everybody else is now, questioning what to do. I just had a gut feeling that it was just going to be like, it was just going to be a little bit too hard for us to pull off.
Well, you said it's so close to the actual date to kick off too. There's only so much time.
Exactly.
Right.
And then, it was just so nebulous to try to kind of figure out how to move forward in that direction at that point.
And I think in just a few minutes, we're going to talk about how you got to turning things around. But I wanted to touch on, Debbie, the fact that part of the decision was tapping into the anticipation that was already there for the festival's start date. And I'd like to have you describe how and where you're actually going to mark the opening of the festival this year.
Yes, so that's a great question. So opening night is obviously the biggest night of the year for us because we finally get to kick off so much of what we've been working on all year. So one of my very favorite pockets of my job is working with John LaGuardia and Grace Nowak of Fusion Filmworks to produce the festival trailer, which we unveil on opening night. And this year we had our trailer created at that point, but we were like, well, without an opening night, what do we do? Well, we carry on that tradition. So we are so beyond thrilled that we will be doing that again this year. And as I speak, we are releasing the trailer, and we cannot wait to hear what our audience thinks about it. We were lucky enough to get the song Miles to Go signed on as the festival trailer song. And I think especially the full-time staff will agree it now has more meaning than ever before. So we just want to do a huge thank you to the musicians behind the song, which was a collaboration actually between two Cleveland-based musicians, Astronymer and Jewel Big Green. And a little known fact, Astronymer is Adam Reifsnyder, who was the lead singer of Honey Bucket, and our film festival family, will realize that Honey Bucket was the band behind the song for the CIFF44 trailer. So Adam is not new to our film festival family. Jewel Big Green was new to us in terms of working with him, but we quickly found out he was already part of our film festival family, and he and his wife were festival attendees for many, many years, and his wife had actually done pre-film announcements because she was a CIFF community partner in the past.
And there will be that opening day and night buzz. And I want to make clear for folks where they'll be able to experience that on the CIFF website, somewhere else.
So everyone can join us at clevelandfilm.org at 11 a.m. today, which should be happening right now, where we will be unveiling our trailer. We'll also be doing that on our social media accounts as well, and we'll be putting it out there throughout the next couple of weeks so people can enjoy it.
Excellent.
Well, as they're jumping in through the website or YouTube and enjoying the trailer, that kind of ties perfectly into the economic impact this is going to have on CIFF as an organization. If finances are allowing people in these unprecedented times, how would you recommend supporting CIFF for CIFF44 and for future CIFFs?
Sure. I'll let Bill speak towards the films themselves, but we do have a couple things that we are going to be doing to build out the CIFF experience. So once again, the trailer will be there, but if you're looking to help us financially, there are some ways to do that. We will be launching our annual challenge match campaign again this year, and we will have prizes available at every level of support, including the much sought after challenge match lapel buttons. We also have CIFF merch available. We have everything from coffee tumblers to t-shirts to picnic blankets, and even the CD with the CIFF44 trailer song is available. Cool. And all of that is on our website at clevelandfilm.org/merch, MERCH. I also want to do a quick shout out to the team at Type 27, who in large part designed our merchandise and who also are tasked with our entire print build out each year in tandem with our campaign. And not to mention, they took on the program guide project this year. So please check out the program guide if you have not already done so, because it was completely redesigned. In our merch selection this year, you'll also find an astronaut t-shirt, which was designed by the team at Fusion Filmworks as a nod to the festival trailer. So again, all of this merch is limited edition collector's items, so move quick on purchasing. And again, you can find them at clevelandfilm.org/merch.
Debbie, I want to do a quick recommendation. Since being in Cuyahoga County, we're moving away from plastic bags at the grocery store. We bought a few CIFF cloth tote bags.
Yeah.
Because we realized our older cloth tote bags are getting pretty grimy. So we figured we'd start fresh with some CIFF tote bags.
Yes, we have lots of options there for you. So thank you for that.
And as we're sounding the online bandwagon, have people been going online and sharing their experiences with CIFF from the past and hopes for this year?
They have. So we have, again, this just supports the fact that we have the best audience, staff, volunteers, anything, anywhere. We have people going on talking about, they're doing video conferences about how, about which films were their favorite and why, where they can find them and stream them. The community has really come together to unite. Again, in these times where we're trying to physically distance ourselves, we're still staying socially connected, which is good. But we do see so many people going online just talking about films. And that's what we really want to try to do, is create a space for people to get through all this together and do it through film and through art and through those connections we've already made.
Yeah. And, one of the things that we're going to be, listing on our website is all the films that we've screened over the past 3 years. If any of them are available on other, screening platforms, Netflix, iTunes, and, et cetera. We have so many listings. We kind of scoured the web to find out how our audience can see films again that they saw at past CIFFs, and then films that they either missed or their friends have seen and they've been wanting to see them. So then, from that community that, they could set up, screening parties and talk about films that they saw at the film festival or missed at the film festival, or, so we're going to have that on our website as well, just so people can see how they can see films from the past 3 years of the festival.
Bill, that seems like a good opening to go back to what you were saying a few minutes earlier about not wanting to jump into a digital festival for this year because it would be so hard to turn that way. And I think that the whole community was feeling the same sense of loss when they found out they couldn't gather together at Tower City Cinemas. But one of the things we want to celebrate today is the festival's can-do spirit, and I'd like to have you kick off talking about what CIFF has come up with to fill the void for film lovers.
So today we're announcing a new program called CIFF Streams. So we got it from our podcast that we're doing, CIFF Speaks, and this is where Film Festival family will be able to view a select amount of films. We're hoping for the majority of films that were selected for CIFF44 to be able to screen them or stream them online. So from those early days of me being against this, we really realized that is the one thing that people were looking for the most, is the community and the films, the new films that they were going to see at the festival. Our film festival family was going to miss that. And so we did everything that we could over the past week and a half to pull this off, to bring, the festival to our audiences the only way that we could.
And so CIFF Streams is going to be a platform where they can see films that were selected for CIFF44. Describe the platform. Where do they go? What do they do?
Yeah, so we're making the announcement now. We're still working a lot of details out, and that's one thing that we learned through this entire process, is that we're not rushing ahead with anything, because we want to do it right. And so in the back of our minds, in every decision that we're making, we're thinking of our film festival family, the people that go down to the film festival that are going to miss that, from our, pass holders to ticket holders, our volunteers and sponsors and donors, all of our partners, our staff. They're not, yes, they're missing the films and being able to see the films. They're probably going to be able to see the films in the future, but they're missing that community. So there's a lot of decisions that we still have to make So we just want to get the announcement that we're doing this out there. And then, we're figuring a lot of things out. Our plan is to launch this in April. We will have it available in April. We're aiming to have it available for 2 weeks. It's not going to be every film from the festival, but we're partnering with a company that we've been working with this year called Cinesend. And they're going to build a platform for us for that. It will be a subscription type program that, people will have the ability to have access to the films, that more films than they would be able to see at the festival. We're still working on a lot of details as far as a price point and who gets what, but we want to just make sure that it's available to our film festival family. So it's, only going to be available in Ohio. It is a web-based system. We're going to have all the details once we figure them out in FAQs posted on our website. We're going to be doing announcements. Debbie can talk more about that. But we want to build the excitement, and we just want to make sure that we do it right for our film festival family.
I was trying to be so quiet during that whole part, Bill, but yes. Thank you.
I think we're all just so happy that we get to offer the CIFF44 experience. I think that's what we were all so, just like what Bill was saying, we're so sad about that we weren't going to have that experience. And even if it looks a little different, it feels a little different, we are just thrilled that everybody gets to unite again under the big screen, even if the big screen's a little smaller this time. So we're just so happy we're making this happen.
Yeah. And, we're talking about this now. We're still like I said, it's still a work in progress. Just to get you up to the point that we're at now, we talked about it. We talked about it as a staff. We were all at different levels about proceeding and how we were going to do it. We weren't all on the same page for a while because it was very different. Would our audience want and need this? Is it too much work? I mean, even it took me 3 days to contact all of our film contacts because each one I wanted to personalize in some way because I didn't want to just send out a big giant mass email. Hey, do we have your approval to do this? Yes, a lot of the details are for everybody, but Mallory and I reached out to a couple distributors and sales agents that we trust, and we knew that they would be honest. And we got such a positive response of us trying to do something for our audience that they were all in. So we knew that that was a good step. And the fact that so many people were asking, all our pass holders and members were asking on social and emailing about if they're going to be available for streaming. We're seeing other festivals go that route. Copenhagen Docs is on right now and they're screening their films, but only for Denmark. And so that was one of the big things too, that, we're not going to release this to everybody. Unfortunately, people outside of Ohio aren't going to be able to see it, but we know that the people that come to the film festival the most are the ones from Northeast Ohio. So we're doing it for them. We're going to come out with more, details and specifics. Everything's going to be, available on our website and how it works and who can do it. But we want to do this right. But we're really, really excited to announce it at this point and, just keep looking at our website for, the launch date.
It's exciting.
Another thing that we're doing, though, too, is, we're announcing our challenge match. Our challenge match at the festival, it's been hugely successful. And that just shows us every year how much our audience loves us and wants to make sure that we're around for years to come. We've always had the challenge match in person, live and in person, where you go to the desk in the lobby and donate whatever you can to make sure that we survive as a nonprofit. And that's a huge thing that we're going to be losing, having to cancel the festival. But we're doing an online challenge match. We're going to have it through all the way through CIFF streams. And so we're going to have the interconnectivity. We're going to still do as many of the raffles that we have that we've had in the past for the challenge match. And so we're just reminding everybody that if you can help when you can. And if you can, just know that we're thankful for anything that anybody can help us with.
And we want to promise you that no matter what that level of support is, it will make a difference. It absolutely will make a difference.
So, Debbie, any final thoughts or thank yous or heads ups that you want to share?
Oh, sure. Yeah, just again, our most sincere thanks and gratitude to everyone who has reached out to support, whether it's through words or financial support. I can't say this enough. We're all going through this together, and for people to prioritize us while they too are dealing with their own lives just means the absolute world to us. And we all tend to work in a bubble sometimes, and it's really wonderful and a bit ironic that with this physical social distancing that we all have seemed to come together more than ever before. So just again, thank you from the bottom of our hearts, and just know how appreciative we are of everyone out there rooting for us.
Very cool. And thanks again to Debby Samples and Bill Guentzler for spending some time with us and for sharing the exciting news about CIFF streams. And for more information about all things film festival related, go to the website at clevelandfilm.org. I'm Dee Perry.
I'm Aaron Spears.
Stay safe, and thank you for listening to CIFF Speaks.